pulled out the thing and said, uh-oh, it's all fun.
All right, we're going to get right into our awards. All right, first off, Varsity Boys and Girls Cross Country.
I'm Coach Costa, the varsity coach for cross country boys and girls. This year, the boys and girls won HVALs. Which we haven't done before, so it was a pretty big deal. And to have both teams do it in 1 year is just, I don't know, insane. So I was gonna tell a story from Saturday to kind of show how, whatever that is, will you make it stop? Okay. All right. So on Saturday we went to the New England Championships, and we had the chance to talk to some of the coaches who had been at HVALs. The Christian Heritage coach told me that he had spotters all over the mountain at HVALs, checking out to see where the teams were. And at mile 1, we were down, Wooster was down by 15 points, and he had the win. So he thought, good to go. At mile 2, Wooster had moved up to the point he only had 1 point lead, and he still thought, I'm good to go. There's no way they're going to pass me. He had no idea the training these kids had done. So mile 3, not only did we pass them, but we won by 4 points. And he said it all came down to our 4 and 5 guys. So in cross country, your first 5 runners are who make your team score. Our first 3 have been solid all season long, so he already knew what that score was going to be. But 4 and 5 went bonkers on this last mile and passed a bunch of Christian Heritage guys and took us from being in 3rd place all the way to 1st place in 1 mile. And what it comes down to is this group of kids, boys and girls, trained so hard that in that 3rd mile, when other teams were crumbling, our team soared. You should have seen these kids run down the mountain. It was like they were on fire. They were flying down the mountain. The other coaches kept talking about how well the Wooster kids were running the hill. And it wasn't just that we have a hilly course, it's how much work they put into practice every single day, running up and down, dragging tires up and down the mountain, practicing running fast down as well as up. And they really came in and did it at HVALs. It was so impressive, and they should be so proud. All right, so awards. We're gonna do most improved boys and girls first. For most improved, I went with both with new runners to the team. We had a boy that joined the team who's never run before, and as it turns out, he didn't really want to run. However, I was lucky in that his lacrosse coach told him, highly suggested he run cross country, and we scored Jonathan. Jonathan couldn't really run more than a mile straight without doing some walking on the first day of practice, and then he finished the season as our 6th fastest runner and went to New England's with us. It was really impressive. Didn't really know what sport she wanted to do, but joined cross country anyway, and we lucked out. We needed a 5th girl for scoring, which put a lot of pressure on a new runner. And she started off the season toward the back of the pack and getting lost a lot. But she came through in the end, and she really got to the point where she was finished. She was running a 30-minute 5K at the beginning of the season and finished running faster than 27. She took 3 minutes off in 1 season. Wow. Ingrid Lee is our girls of the year. I never change it up because that just makes it simple. It's numbers. So for the boys, I'm sure everybody knows it's Daniel Michael. But don't come up yet, Daniel. I gotta tell the story about you. So Daniel, on his first day on the cross country was my first day ever coaching at Wooster, and I always do a run drop. They run until they drop. And he ran the furthest out of everybody that showed up that day, so I thought he'd been like a lifelong cross country kid. And then he says, "No, this is my first day ever running, coach. I've never run before." My mind was blown. So this kid went from running like a 22-minute 5K his first year to taking a minute off or more every single year to this year running the fastest time for our team and running 18 flat, which is phenomenal. That's sub 6-minute miles for the entire time. So Daniel Michael, you truly. Most valuable is Lauren Gazzardi. I don't know how many of you know Lauren, but she's a phenomenal runner, but not always at practice as far as being a phenomenal runner at practice. Sometimes she runs hard, sometimes she doesn't, you never know. But I don't know what happens. She doesn't have like that mental thing where you kind of have a general governor that shuts your body down when you think you're going too hard and it seems safer to run slower and throttle back. Lauren doesn't have that. She just goes, she gets in a race, all she sees is the finish line and beating people. She overrides all mental signals saying you should slow down, this is too fast, this is too fast, and she just keeps taking the pace up. This kid is insane. So Lauren has truly earned this. She was our fastest girl at almost every single race this year, maybe every race. Lauren Gazzardi. It went to a 4-year runner she's been on the team for 4 years. She was also our team captain. She's been a silent but strong leader on the team for 4 years. You can always count on Kaylin to show up at practice, run hard, and be a positive example to others. She truly epitomizes what you'd want out of a runner on your team or any athlete. Kaylin Maldonado. Tradition of I usually give it to the captains, but I talked over with Bennett and he was cool. So anyway, this runner has been on the team for 4 years and has been amazing. He comes to practice every single day, works his hardest, leads by example, is always there to help another runner, always there to crack a joke if things are getting hard. I don't know, you can just always count on Luke. This year, he ended up being our clutch runner in more than one race. We had a race where Daniel couldn't make it. Luke showed up and ran the race of his life. We had a race where Bennett was having a rough day. Luke showed up and ran an insane race. We needed him to place high to win H-Vals. I don't even know what he did to make himself run that fast, but it was incredible. So Luke Fink has definitely earned the Coach's Award for this.
Girls varsity soccer. Girls had an awesome season, best season since probably 2012, 2013. Remarkable bunch of girls. Thanks to the seniors for making it such a memorable experience for all of us. I think You set a good standard for seniors to come and for underclassmen. So to the seniors, I appreciate it. Thanks to Ron for keeping everyone healthy, for putting up with some of us hanging out in the training room just because we didn't want to go to class. Really appreciate all your efforts to make sure the girls felt good about themselves and were ready to go. Awards. So I'll start with Coach's Award. Coach's Award sort of changes in my mind from year to year. But this year, it represents someone who just came every single day, focused, ready to work, made others around her better, sometimes ruffled the heck out of everyone's feathers as a result of her effort and enthusiasm for the sport. But ultimately, without her, I think she raised the level of play on a daily basis for everyone else around her. And for that, I can't thank her enough. Megan Borgshow. Most improved player I really struggled with, and I actually asked the seniors who they thought would be the most improved player for the team, and they split, so they were no help. It really came down to two players, and I just thought that when I look into the future in terms of not only awards but just accolades, I think that one of these students will be recognized in other ways moving forward. So I went with the younger of the two players. So when we first started out the season, I spent, and Coach Plummer spent a lot of time trying to convince certain girls to play soccer. And I remember email exchanges with this young lady's mom, and eventually once she got to campus, talking to her, and just from the moment she stepped on the field, you could tell she was just athletic. She was just an athletic girl who could take good care of herself, was physical, wasn't going to be pushed around, and really to start the season after not playing for a number of years and be able to pick it right up, mostly be our right midi for most of the year, and she just really didn't seem to take crap from anybody, which I thought was just incredible. Alice Perkis, most improved. Most valuable player is not going to come by any surprise by anybody. I spent 3/4 of the summer trying to convince Coach Plummer that we had no other options at goal, that we had to put Morgan in goal, that not only was she clearly far and away the best person to play goal on our team, but was probably one of the best goaltenders in New England, just based upon what I saw her first 3 years. And then Coach Plummer left, so lucky me. I was like, you're going to the goal. No, but what's special about Morgan is although she really didn't want to play goal, she realized that's what the team needed. If we won a game, tied a game, lost by 1, it was generally because Morgan was standing on her head in the goal, making sure that if anyone got through the defense, that she was going to be there to sort of save the day in certain moments. And to be honest with you, she's also one of our best field players. So although she was by far our best goalie, we really could have used her on the field as well. And I think as a result of that, and a result of just her career in general with Wooster girls soccer, most valuable player.
Soccer coach this year. It was my first time getting to coach at Wooster. So real quick, I'm going to be a little repetitive if you were upstairs. I just want to thank you parents, thank you players, and thank you Mr. Hutchins for all the work that you guys put in towards making this a fantastic first season for me, and I think a pretty dang good season for JV Boys Soccer as well. I can't really I'd love to play with those guys again next year, but I know they don't really want to play with me next year. Hopefully I'll get to work with some of them again. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to start with the most improved player because he's not here. Also wrote a bunch of speeches. So, whether you look at the veterans who came back, the middle schoolers who moved up, or the 8 brand new players to the sport, this was a team of most improved players. It's hard to say who improved the most, but there's one player whose exuberance and effort on every play stood out. James Rapp came in with no soccer experience whatsoever, but he worked hard as anyone to stand out and grow into a soccer player, and that work paid off. James never slacked off when he was out in the field, chasing down loose balls, patrolling the middle of the field like a guard dog. He practiced his big kicks more than anyone else, and by the end of the season, he'd mastered the clearance. It would have been nice if he'd ever chased those balls, but they were still great games. So for his growth and contribution to the team, I'm happy to name James our most improved player. Now for the Coaches Award. So Coaches Award is going to a player who you could miss if you weren't paying attention closely. He mostly played on defense, and because he was always willing to do whatever it took to help the team, and he never really tried to draw attention to himself, it'd be easy to miss the contributions that Peter's son brought to the team. However, Peter was one of the hardest working players on the team, always giving 100% of effort in every game, whether he was battling burly midfielders or chasing down speedy strikers. Peter never stopped. For his hard work as a quiet role model, I'm proud to give Peter this year's Coaches Award. Now for our MVP, John Stockton, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Archie McInnes. There is no point guard position in soccer, but if there was one, it'd be Archie. Archie orchestrated so much of our offense, it's hard to measure his impact statistically. Even when he wasn't sinking game-tying shots like the one against Masters in the final minute, his crosses created many opportunities for our team. He had at least 5 assists and 4 goals on the season, but that's just the icing on the cake of his contributions. He never complained, never lost his temper, and never stopped supporting his teammates. And for all these reasons, Archie was our MVP of the year. Boys varsity soccer.
All right, I also need to start with thanks. Again, this will be somewhat redundant for those who were upstairs. But first and foremost, I want to thank my 9 seniors. I mentioned them by name upstairs. I won't do it again. But I just want you guys to know that some of you have been here in the program for 4, and I've only been here for 3, so you've outdone me so far, but I'll catch up, I promise. I want to thank the parents who always took their kids home, thankfully, because I would still be standing out there. But you came to games and you were so supportive, and it was really impressive. The Watkinson game, most impressively of all, when there was a little core of parents on the hill and you couldn't miss their little yells and screams, and it was awesome. So that I was grateful for. And to the administration, Ron Hutchins, who patches them up and puts them back out there again and again and again and again in unprecedented fashion for my team this year. Jeff and Brian for the scheduling and all the other nightmares that are associated with, oh, rain, what do we do now? Okay. And then to Coach Burke, who was a joy to work with. It might have been his first year, but he handled it wonderfully, and I look forward to working with him again next year. Favorite moments of the season? Well, they're basically names, and they're just people who developed incredibly over a course of a season. Owen O'Connell, Jack Barsh, Brandon, Jacob and Drew, Mark, I could go on and on. But I mentioned all of them before. I mentioned them again because they were the core and they made the team click. Did we achieve what we wanted to achieve? No. We wanted to win. We wanted to win the HVAL. It was a lofty goal, but there's nothing wrong with having goals. And if you don't achieve your goal, then you put it right out there in front and you say, this is our goal for next year. And so next year we have something we didn't get to this year, but we're going after it again next year. I can't help the fact that knees were our problem. Brandon Reed, Cooper Burns, Josh, all out with knees. Alan basically for half the season with a hip, not quite the player he should have been. Chris Gephardt, ankle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you know, you just, every day came, practice showed up, okay, who's healthy today? And we worked hard with whoever was there, and game rolled around. We worked hard with whomever was there, and it was, they were great. I would work with them year after year if I had the pleasure, if I had the opportunity. But some of them want to go. 9 seniors in particular. Okay, now, awards. Most improved. This person didn't want to play the position he played, but the team knew it was the best decision for the team. He knew it, he sucked it up, and he played the position. And I truly, there were games where Jack Barsh was unbelievable. I have never seen a kid make so many instinctive, just unbelievable saves. And so as in incredible gratitude, this most improved player award goes to Jack Barsh. My most valuable. As my captains kept rolling over and dying, we had to keep picking new ones. And we finally picked one that decided, yeah, I'm going to stick around. And not only am I going to stick around, but I'm going to pump the team up. And not only am I going to pump the team up, I'm going to lead the team in scoring. And so Jacob Smith did all of those things. The Coaches Award. This goes to the person who was the only captain that made it through the season. He is a senior. He was the first person who ran across the field my first practice and asked me if he could help me carry something across the field. And I wondered, oh my goodness, what's going on here? And I've since gotten to know this is what's so cool about Wooster. I have never been so impressed with that first day of practice, and 3 years later, he's still the same guy, working just as hard. He was second in goals. He led the team in assists, and an all-round amazing athlete, Drew Schneider.
wasn't about necessarily wins and losses, but was setting the foundation for what's to come. Our expectation is that we will be having those t-shirts again next year. This is not a one-off. This is a legacy that we're building, and it starts with the JV team. And so they have a tremendous amount of courage and grit and determination to win, and I see it coming in our future that we're going to keep winning those t-shirts for a bunch of years to come. The Coaches Award for JV Volleyball goes to the player who actually ran the team, who came to me with ideas, who would lead us in our prep for every game, who without her really could not be the team that we were because she pulled us all together with everything she did. And so this year's award goes to Bethany Eason. For most valuable player, this was somebody who allowed us to be competitive against the best schools that we faced. Because oftentimes they had servers that were jump serving as 9th and 10th graders, and that can be intimidating at times. But we had our own jump servers, we had our own cannons on the lineup, and so this year's most valuable player goes to Allie Lopes. Perhaps the true intention of JV Volleyball is getting better, because again, this year isn't about winning, this year is about becoming varsity and having the legacy. And so for our most improved player, we had a number who had never played in a volleyball game before this season, who I think now are competitors to be on the varsity team for next year. And so this year's most improved player goes to Jillian Schnatter.
Unfortunately, we're the team that still has to practice. Get 2 more days with them.
Not if we win!
All right, so I'm the other Corone in the upper school. I was going to pay tribute to the boys that came to our game and supported us. I was told that wouldn't be a dress code, so there was a W on my chest. I just want to say that we had 12 seniors on our team this year, which is a really big number. And they've been great. You know, to try to have 16 girls on one team, on a volleyball team, when substitution is challenging, they've been great. All of them. I really want to point out our captains, Renata, Mimi, Olivia, and Brittany. Thank you for everything you guys did this year. You know, I also want to thank Coach Priederman. You know, we did something different this year. We had a generous gift. Thank you. And we were able to put up we were able to run 2 courts in Forever Young Gym. And at first we thought that was going to be a little bit of a challenge. You know, when you throw, you know, the JVs, he didn't say this, but he had 20 girls on his team. And so from trying to coach 2 teams that size, we decided that we were going to coach in the same gym all the time. So pretty much the entire season we had both JV and varsity practicing together. We did drills together. We would scrimmage together, and eventually we would break up into our teams. And it went great. I think it really helped. I think it's going to help for the future to be able to have both teams practice together like that. And I want to thank him for all his help and support during the season. So we had a pretty good year. It's still going on. We ended up 14-4. We won our second HVAL championship on Saturday. We play again on Wednesday. We play in New England. It's quite an honor for us to be able to go to New England. We've seen the caliber of the competition that we're going to play. It's very good. It's going to be a real challenge for us. We also had 4 girls participate in the New England All-Star tournament or games that we had this past weekend. Mimi, Carolyn, Brittany, and Olivia. Renata also had an option, but she wanted to go visit a college instead. Dedication's just not quite there. So I'll get to our awards. I told the girls we voted on these, and I didn't really go with their votes. I had to say it as part of the process. I said, when you do this, you're going to be disappointed. And I didn't say it right. I didn't say it correctly. What I meant was I was going to be disappointed because we had many deserving girls for the award. So, the 3 that get it, it could have gone to, a half a dozen others for each of them. So, with that, I'm going to start with our most improved player. To me, this was a year-over-year award. This was someone that she was on the team last year. I could see the potential in her, and she struggled for consistency. But I knew that if given the chance and practicing hard, she would be one of our strongest players. She gradually moved up to getting in the starting lineup, to being one of our top servers. Towards the end, I always penciled her in as second or third in line to serve. She also developed into a really strong outside hitter, and for her size to be able to do that, that's impressive. So our most improved player, Caitlin Strauss. Most valuable player. This is, again, someone who showed a tremendous amount of improvement in 2 years. And I don't think we would have won this year without the improvement from her. She allowed us at times to dominate the teams we played against. And it's going to be a huge loss to not have her on the team next year. She really came into her own. Last year she was a little timid at times, always just trying to unleash what we thought was in there. And she came back this year with an edge and with an attitude. And I was just, it was, when she was outside hitting, I just had such the confidence that we were going to win the points. And I was so happy to have her, Olivia Adelman. So that leaves us with the Coaches Award, and she could have won all of these, but she's the first in the gym. She's first to leave. She's a quiet leader, I think. She could have been the most valuable player. She's been the most valuable player. She probably will be the most valuable player because I'm lucky enough to have her back again next year. She helps take the nets down. She helps with the freshmen, helping them do things. MAN, okay? She should help with the sophomore too. But I'm, when Coach Friedman talks about, trying to win again next year, we would not have any shot if it wasn't for Mimi. Mimi's helping.
ask that all award recipients stick around. We just want to get a group photo. We don't have to do individual ones. It'll take 2 minutes. Please just stick around. We'll get one up at the front at the end here. All right, so I just want to acknowledge conference champions, but I also want to recognize some regional honors. So HVL championship teams. So like Coach Tosta said, boys and girls cross country won HVL championship this year. When I first took over in this role, we hired teachers to do cross country. I think it was sort of an afterthought in terms of like anyone can teach running. I basically scavenged the earth to find coach. I was calling running stores. I was trying to figure out anyone and everyone who like could actually get us someone. And then this Navy brat who like just has just the most unbelievable. I mean, you are one of the most unbelievable people I've ever met in my life. Our girls team year in and year out is strong, is competing for conference championships, and what you did with the boys and just the continuation of the momentum for our girls team is nothing short of unbelievable. What you do for our middle school programming, just across the board, our Wooster kids are runners, and it's a really, really proud sort of moment when you sort of think about where we've come from and where we're going. So thanks to Coach, and congratulations to both the boys and girls for winning the conference championship. Girls Varsity Volleyball, long tradition of success. Had a couple years before Coach Crone got here that were not as successful, and I think just his efforts and enthusiasm for the girls, and the girls just realizing that they were better than I think what they thought they were. 2 years ago, I think they spent a lot of time convincing themselves that they couldn't compete, and just a calm, cool, collected coach that sort of bred some confidence in them, allowed them to, mostly calm, probably not very cool. So girls volleyball, HVL, tournament champs, and the first New England appearance in 4 years, and the first 6 seed ever. So I just think it's incredible what you all have done. Fifth? Fifth what?
Sixth.
You're the 6th seed. I got that right.
That's good.
You're the 6th seed New England tournament. 5 in our hearts, 6 on paper. New England tournaments, girls volleyball, boys and girls cross country, all league honors. This just came down the pike at us today, so we have not had a chance to do the certificates and whatnot, but I wanted to mention all of these athletes. Unfortunately, volleyball, unsurprisingly, they have not given us the HVL honors, but girls varsity soccer, HVL, all league, first team, Morgan McCutcheon and Megan Bourgeau. Boys varsity soccer, first team, Alan Jost, honorable mention, Jacob Smith. Cross country, you automatically make first team all conference if you place in the top 10 of the HVALs, and unbelievable, 6 of our cross country runners finished in the top 10. Bennett Waddles, Daniel Michaels. Sorry. More clapping, better. Bennett Waddles, Daniel Michaels, Lucas Fink, Caitlin Maldonado, Lauren Guzzardi, Julia Bauer. There will be more regional honors to come for many of our student athletes, and we'll put those out in future publications. I just want to thank everyone for your continued support of our kids. It's really what this is all about, working with the coaches that I get to work with and Jeff gets to work with and Ron. It's clear, it's evident that our coaches coach because they love your kids and because they're really passionate about what they do. And I think they get the most out of each of the kids, and I think as a result, we benefit so much by being able to coach and being a part of this program. So thank you all very much. Award winners, please stick around. We'll get your pictures and we'll get you out of here. Thank you so much.
I'm laughing that they're all like, they're so goofy.
Yes, they are. Hello, how are you?
She's still filming.
God, Mr. Schmelligel's not here. I'm so bummed.
Aw.
So bummed. Yeah. And I'm sure there's other parents who can't make it as well. Yes.
Hi,
I found that picture.
If parents want them, they're welcome to them, but I think you guys can share them with them. Just that. All right. I am going to speak very briefly. Then I'm going to turn it over to my umpteen captains. And this team has more captains than any team I've ever coached. Simply because the minute I name them a captain, they get injured and then they disappear. So we just kept naming new captains. There was only one captain that survived from the very beginning. Right there. Credit to his martial arts skills for keeping off other people. Well, besides saying a tremendous thank you to this portion of the room over there, who was incredibly supportive of the team and each of the players, it's really important to recognize the fact that we have 9 seniors on this team. Yeah. Yeah, so Josh, Hakon, Chris Gephardt, Kevin Howe, Silas Monk, Peter Nikos, Owen O'Connell, Brandon Reed, Drew Schneiderl, and Nick Wyckoff. All seniors, all have played their last soccer for Wooster. So I just want to thank all of them. I've only been here for 3 years, and some of them have been here for 4 at playing for the upper school. So some of them have outlasted me. Hopefully I will outlast a few of them, but we'll see. Now, with my thank yous out of the way, besides thanking my captains, my seniors, the parents, for all the things that they've done, I would like to open the floor to anybody who has something to say. This has been a strange season. I'll just leave it at that. And was it the season I expected it to be at the beginning of the year? No, not at all. I did not expect to be going into our last game of the regular season looking for our first win in the league. That was nowhere in my thought process over last summer. That just was inconceivable to me. But things happen, and so it was a strange trip that we all took. And I have some favorite moments which I'll mention, but I literally, the floor is open. So it's your team and your recollections. So, and parents, feel free to share. And if you don't have anything to say, I have one from a parent that can't be here. So I'll start off with that one. This is from Karen.
Who's Karen?
Carvalho. My favorite part of the season was how the boys never gave up. No matter the score, the adversaries, or the obstacles they faced. That truly says a lot about the type of men they will become. And they should be very proud of their efforts and abilities to keep their heads in the game. As the mom of a freshman, it was wonderful to see such great role models both on and off the field. So I thought that was a nice summary. From a mom, and you know, all I could do was smile. I sent her an email in return, but nothing I could send would say as much as what she did right there. So now, the floor has been open. Go. Anybody?
Well, I think also, I was just gonna add, I was gonna start it off by saying the camaraderie, no matter how tough it got, amongst all you guys supporting one another was always pretty amazing.
True.
So I think not giving up is one thing. I think maybe what impressed me even more, strange is a good word for this season. I thought about it, we've talked about how many games could have gone either way, and you were so close and in it, but I always looked at that bench, and at the most, I think you had 3 sometimes, and a lot of times 1 or 2, and the other guys had 6 or 8, and you ran it to the end of every single game. But I think more importantly was the way you started every game. It was as if nothing had happened in the prior games, and you were still in it to be champions, and you never gave up. And then people kept getting hurt, and after all the people you lost last year, I think about the development along the way, and it was almost astronomical to a person how people came and kept getting better and kept fighting harder. Even when a lot of people might have given up and said, we don't have anything else to fight for, we're not going to win the league, we're not going to, but you acted every game like you were still going to win the league, and I thought that was pretty impressive.
It was just fun watching you guys play out there.
I like the 2-minute mentality. You played every game with yelling, and you guys would start the games, like the last couple of games, 2 minutes, Wooster! I'm like, what, 2 minutes? I'm looking, trying to figure out what that meant, and then after Drew had explained it to me, that's when I realized that you guys really did play, like, everything 2 minutes. You kept saying 2 minutes, like we're gonna play like it's the last 2 minutes of the game, and we're just gonna give it everything. And you guys really did that from first game to the last game of the season. Really amazing.
That's actually a statistical analysis. Yeah. But it tends to be a letdown within 2 minutes of a team, whether it's you or the other team scoring. There tends to be another goal in a huge percentage of cases. So if you can survive that 2 minutes or inflict your energy on a team that's let down, that you're liable to get a second goal within that 2 minutes. So our job was to try and get that goal in the 2 minutes and not give up in the 2 minutes. Even if we conceded a goal, we had to believe 2 minutes. Okay, we can do this. We can get through this.
I'd like to give a shout out to one of the other captains. This individual, no matter what huddle we were in, he would find a funny way to hype us up. Practice, he'd come working hard. So Jacob, I'd like to thank you for keeping it positive. I know you snap me out of my phone whenever I'm in practice and I'm kicking stuff and I'm screaming and yelling. I'm so frustrated. I'm not performing to my best, but you always find a way to keep everything positive and get me back to work.
Well, I can say the same thing back, honestly. But even though I didn't, I think I got upset when we lost a few games because I knew we were going to win like the Foreman game under the lights. I was really bummed about that one. But you were always there getting the organization in. You get the drills going every single practice or game, and everyone looked up to you. Definitely more than they looked up to me, and that's a fact.
I'll say something really quick. Just throughout the season, I was really impressed with Alan. He kept on pushing through injuries. He kept on playing, and
I just thought that was really impressive.
Previously known as the rubber band man. They never broke, but this time they actually did. That was unheard of.
I'm always amazed at the speed that you guys have, that you can just take off and like beat the other team to the ball, and it's just amazing how fast you guys can go. So that's
Quiet.
Yeah, you guys are a little quieter than I thought.
Well, I know the boys have something to say to all the seniors, so why don't they
Let's
say
do
their
that.
little spiel about the team? You go first.
I got it. So I had Owen. And when I was thinking about what to say about Owen, I tried to think about previous years, and I realized there weren't any. Were you on JV last year? Do you not play? Like, even like the fact that I had to ask that question, and then for him to be the best sweeper, right? Yeah. Sweeper, stop right next to me. The best sweeper that I've seen in a while, and definitely most improved from last year. To be able to go from JV to starting varsity and stopping many people, I think that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Okay, so my person was Silas, and just like Jacob, when I've thought about what to write about Silas, me and Silas actually go back, because when I was a freshman, he was a sophomore too. My whole years on the varsity team, Silas has been with me. So next year is going to be the first year, we're not going to be on the same team. I thought about what I first thought of Silas when I saw him, and I think we can all agree that Silas is one of the best dribblers on our team. He does these unnecessary, amazing skills during practice that he doesn't use in the game. So they're just so insane that like you ask him to do it 3 times and he does it every time, and then you try it once, you can't even do it after like 20 tries. So that's something that really stuck out to me. We're gonna miss your jokes next year. I know our practices are way more enjoyable with you on the team, and the bus rides to long games are always fun. In the back, we're always. Yeah. We're gonna miss you, man.
I'm not in the back. That's why they're more fun.
So Alan, you'll still have me.
The lesser monk.
Alright, so I had Chris, and kind of like Alan, every year that I've been on varsity, Chris has been there, and in positive ways he encouraged me to play goalie and to try and do the best, and I tried to encourage him to do the best, and I admire him because this year he played through many ankle injuries and just a sore ankle most of the time. What? You twisted your ankle like every game. And thought that was great.
Alright, I'll go. I had Nick. Me and Nick have been on the same, we've been on soccer for as long as I've played soccer. He was on JV with me. And then I followed him to varsity. I couldn't leave him alone. I had to come with him. He will be dearly missed. I've loved playing soccer with him for the past 3 years now. Had a great time. I think he really embodies the spirit of soccer. He always is trying very hard. And I appreciate his spirit that he brought with me.
Alright, so I have something for Drew. Alright, Drew, let me start out by saying that you're a great athlete in every sport you play, whether it be ultimate or soccer. during the preseason, I remember you getting up right away and saying, let's get into warm-up, and you just brought us straight into warm-up. No questions asked. Every day this season, you always pushed us. Every game, every practice, you always pushed us, saying, stay with it, or here we go, here we go. We all grew under your guidance as players. We really appreciate you, and we're going to miss you next year.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Peter, and one of the things I'll remember most about you is how you would always just when you're playing defense in general, you would just come flying in. Just like, I'm a guy, you're faster than most people, and also, you were probably the most serious one in our defense 3-on-3, so a lot of us were not really trying as hard as we should have been. And I'll always remember you trying to keep us on track, and we probably wouldn't have started games well without you. So, yeah.
That's all.
There should, is there more in there? Everybody else is not here, right? Everybody else is here?
So,
Darn it.
as a parting gift, as once bestowed upon me by another captain, Natty Heyman. So he has this, there's this black captain's band that I wear under my jersey every game, except for one. We thought it was superstitious, that's why we're losing, but it didn't. So it's still good luck, it's still passed on. So he never been washed either. Natty gave it to me at the end of the season and sealed envelope. He said, okay, I want you to pass on the leadership and the motivation keeping the team on the right track while I'm gone. So I'm going to do the same thing. I ask that you don't open it until next season. So keep it here until next season, and I like to give this to Alan. Sweaty on.
Sweaty on.
And guys, just so you know, all the pictures were taken by Mr. Priedemann. So you can thank him when you see him. He is a raving fan. He loves watching you guys, and he gets home, he's like a little kid, and he downloads the pictures and he edits them. I see him, he's editing them, he's looking at them on the sidelines, Ultimate Soccer, whatever. So all the pictures that were passed out today, and even ones for the other seniors who are not here today, every single one's from Mr. Priedemann. So if you see him, definitely give him a high five.
Ask him.
I can't tell you. Secret, top secret. I'm sorry? He's like, where'd you find
I thought it was open to the kids. I'll find out. I
Yeah,
thought that
no, it
they
is.
could get into that
Yeah.
file. It's a
Just
Google-
ask Mr. Priedemann. He'll just, yeah.
It's a Google Drive folder.
You have to email us.
Yeah, Mr. Riegel, yeah, I think she's the keeper of the key over there.
So how about a shout out to your Coach? Putting up
That was a shorty, so we got you some dark chocolate.
Coffee and chocolate. Right.
So be all jacked up for next season.
Love it.
Yeah, you might see me dribbling in the well, I have this little sheet here, but I'm not going to read it. I am, no, I can't. But some favorite moments. The development of Owen O'Connell as a sweeper. Okay.
Woo! Yeah.
From basically not starting at all to saying, okay, Owen, you now own and control the defense. Okay, coach, yeah. And really taking it and making it your position. That was an incredible plus for us this season. When Cooper went down, we kind of sat there and going, what are we going to do? So Anthony tried. Anthony didn't like the position. So So, no, didn't fail, did not fail, was not succeed. So, someone stepped up and took it over, and he went back to the position he was very comfortable at, and played brilliantly there. Another, Jack Barsh as goalie.
Yes! Woo! Beast mode.
Okay, just before we share this, you are honorable mention, Western New England Prep School Soccer Association.
Yeah, good job, Jack.
Honorable mention, HVAL. This is not voted by me. This is voted by other coaches. So this is
Awesome,
really
Jack.
impressive.
Yeah.
A lot of other people.
Good job, Jack. Amazing. Brandon, as a
tiny central midfielder. Oh my God! But what skill! If that kid would ever grow, he would be impressive at center midfield. He still is impressive, and he's only a freshman, and he's a wee little midgeling. Okay. Yeah. Jacob and Drew as a strong striker duo. Wow. I mean, it takes Josh to collapse and roll over and say, I'm done. But as soon as that happened, those two guys went up top. They pressed high, they worked hard, they had a huge work rate. It was really impressive to see. And in the games that we won, there are no two people more responsible in terms of statistics for the success that we had there, and that was really impressive. To someone I didn't know anything about, Marcello, literally covering every single central position, from sweeper to stopper to defensive center mid to offensive center mid. Wherever I needed, he's, yep, coach, I'll do it. I can do that. And you know, what a gift to have a player of that caliber. Just that has Now, aside from injuries, we had all kinds of other people missing for impressive reasons. Simon, who was probably with the Boy Scouts.
Eagle Scout, yeah.
Chris Gephardt was searching for college. Peter was in the greenhouse or pursuing something academic. So we had people missing not just for injuries, but for other things that sort of reflect what is important to Wooster. That yes, sports are important, but there are some things, Boy Scouts, really important in a human being's life. And the fact that I get to have somebody of his personal caliber on this team, you know, I have to share him, and that's a blessing for both of us. So that was nice. Now, it was tough every day to go to practice because you lose a few games in a row, and it takes a toll. But every day, my notebook was filled out. I was ready to go. And it was just like preparing for class, except a heck of a lot more fun. And I owe it all to you guys. You guys are the ones that made me want to go back up the hill again. Whether you wanted to go up the hill. I
gotta drive us up.
Yeah, well, I could have a wagon on it and they made it legal. I can pull all of you up there, but that's not it's not my prerogative. My favorite game. Purely, it's Watkinson. It had to be Watkinson. We had a game just like it, so we bookended our season with great games, except this is the way the first one should have ended. Okay, we went up, they tied. We went up, they tied, and then finally we had the answer. And it was probably one of the nicest goals I've seen in my 40 years of coaching. 23 yards out, at a pretty sharp angle, perfectly placed, upper 90 on a set kick. It was really sweet. So,
Alan.
And it was beauty.
It was
And we hung on, kept the win 3-2, so that will be the memory I have of this season.
Could not have put
The
a piece of
win.
paper between the ball and the goal.
Oh, yeah, there was nothing there. So the rest of it I will share with the entire community, but do you guys, we have maybe a minute or so, so if anybody else has anything they wish to share, feel free at this point. Otherwise, we can head back down.
Just one thing, as a parent who tried to make as many games as I could, losing sometimes can be hard, and like Coach said, it's hard to come out again and again, but I can tell you, you guys always made it fun as a parent on the sideline, whether you were winning or weren't. It was really fun to watch you. It was great to listen to Coach yell at you. And the enthusiasm level was, always really high, and you guys never gave up, and that was really inspiring for us. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
I'll say one thing. So I'm new to soccer, though Anthony's not. And so I tried to come to a few games, and I generally hate sitting outside.
You did great.
Well, I do.
You did a great job.
Well, I do, thankfully, and I appreciate that. Should we make an award for me? But you guys were genuinely fun to watch. I really haven't watched soccer since Russell played when he was 6 for 1 year, so I knew nothing about it. And all the other parents were super helpful, telling me what I should cheer for and why they were getting yelled at, and what was good and what wasn't good. But you guys really were genuinely fun to watch. Certainly more fun than watching soccer on TV. So.
I just want to make a comment on the teamwork that you had. I thought the teamwork that you had was superb, from the defense up to the forwards. And I especially want to also talk about the quarterfinal game that we played. And Jack Bosch had a wonderful game. I think he showed strong qualities as a goalie in that game. I don't know how many saves you made, Jack, but probably.
That PK save.
Yeah, and even a PK, penalty kick save. So amazing work there.
Shall we go?
Wait, one more. It's very nice to, sing your praises. But I think you can't escape the fact that Mr. Schwerke is the youngest spirited coach in the school. And he does love the sport, and he loves the kid. He loves you guys. And he will always be so emotionally honest that he just stood there one day and said, I just love this school. Just like that. And it was like 9 o'clock at night. And you could bring the rest of us out like just exhausted dish towels. So you should, at some point, give thought to the fact that you're really lucky to have a coach who, I don't know what he says to you in private, but certainly from our perspective, seems to bring his own level of enthusiasm, joie de vivre, and appreciation for all of you and your efforts.
And language.
And lack of efforts, I'm sure, get called out too. But,
Agreed.
that's